All right, welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. As always, I'm here with the greatest 6'3" redheaded backpacker in the history of mankind, Mr. Jeremiah Stringer. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah. I'm doing well.
Like a ninja now?
Yeah. I'm a backpacking ninja.
Check this out. We've already got somebody contact us here, Jeremy from Midwest Backpacker. I am joining you from the woods, and all is good.
Oh, so, I like what you did there, Jeremy.
You see that? What he did there? That was nice. That was real nice. So, man, how's your day been?
Well, today has been a fantastic day, and tomorrow's going to be an even better day because no work.
Ooh. Oh, election day.
Yes, tomorrow's election day.
Nice, even though it really doesn't matter because a lot of people have already voted, and there's still people that are going to vote like 8 to 9 days after. So it's election week is what we're in right now.
As long as it gets me off work,
that's all that matters.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, it's a shame you're not off on Friday. We could go hiking, but
I know.
I guess that's how that goes, man. So you got anything coming up this week? Any hikes or any backpacking trips or anything?
Yes, I am going with my wife camping, and then we're going to an undisclosed location to day hike with another couple, maybe a couple couples. We'll see.
Wow.
I'm awaiting confirmation.
You're like doing these like double date hiking adventures now, huh?
Yes, triple date maybe.
Very nice. Yeah, I was going to say I'm going on about a 10-mile day hike on Friday, and then Saturday I'm going out to the Red River Gorge with a bunch of people who have not hiked much, and I'm going to take them out to Hanson's Point, and then we're going to go hit up some Miguel's there in the Red River Gorge, get some pizza.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that you're showing people that haven't been.
Oh, man. Everybody needs to see Hanson's Point at some point in their life. If anybody knows me, knows how much I love that place. But that's exciting. And then I get to go to Alabama the next week with Crow Flies Hiking. Brad.
Oh, yes, Brad is a great guy. You'll love that, man. He's a lot of fun to hang out with, too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. He's awesome, man. Just a good guy. But we have a good guy who's in the green room right now who's waiting to get on. And before he comes on, I think it's important we let people see this one picture of him to understand the kind of guy we're dealing with today. And that's this picture right here. If this doesn't tell you we are dealing with a man's man today, I don't know what does. And if you're listening online, we just showed a picture of a guy with an iced over beard, completely iced over, just smiling from ear to ear like he just got married. So we're excited to bring to the show for the first time ever, Mr. Justin Sylvester of It's Good in the Woods. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Oh my gosh, we're so awesome, man, because you're here.
Right on. Likewise.
We weren't sure it was going to happen there for a little bit, but it pulled together for us.
A little touch and go. Huh?
It was a little scary, but it all worked out, which is great. So this is your first time here on the Backpacking Podcast, and one of the things that we like to do is we like to do some games, maybe lighten the whole mood a little bit. And so we're going to do that to kick things off right away, because I picked a game that I think you're the ringer in, and that Jeremiah has no chance to win.
Oh man,
Jeremiah's never lost, by the way. At this
game. the one time we played this, Jeremiah did not lose.
1-0, man in Kentucky. I've been told.
That is not true. Mr. Backpacking with Jason Sir would argue that with you. Okay, so it's real simple. You're just going to tell us what a few of these winter items weigh. The game is called What Does It Weigh? All right, so the way this one works, this is real simple. Well, you can see the scale that's down here in the corner. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys an item. Then you have to guess what you think it weighs. Pretty simple, right?
Oh,
I hope you can do it. But I have faith in this guy down below me right here. I think he's going to knock it out. This feels like Brady Bunch right now, by the way. I'm just kind of like, I want to look over here. I guess it's over here. Hi, Jeremiah. If you're listening online right now, it's like we've got 4 squares on the screen and there's a picture of a scale and everything. But okay, let's start this thing off. The very first thing we're going to do is I'm going to pull up an item that if you're out in really cold weather, not like Kentucky cold weather or Midwest cold weather is in like Ohio, but I'm talking like cold weather, you're going to have these. And I'm going to show these to you.
I bet it's some hot hands.
These are real man's gloves, is what these are. Okay, these are what you call Arctic gloves, and I'm pretty sure that Justin has seen these before. So these suckers, actually, a lot of people do mittens. I didn't know that because it was my first ever backpacking trip was going up to Mount Kilimanjaro. So I didn't know what I was doing, and I got gloves, and but I got these Arctic gloves, and these are nice and warm. But here's the thing: there's a bonus to this. These are the liners that go inside the gloves.
Okay.
So basically, you're looking at the weight of 4 different gloves here.
Combined?
Combined. And you have to guess what the weight of that is.
Will your scale hold that?
Oh, yeah, dude. I've already figured out how to make this work.
I can't wait to see this.
We keep it real around here, man. Okay, so what are the guesses going with this one?
You go first.
Well, ooh, that's throwing the gauntlet down.
I've never even laid eyes on this type of gear before because it's very mild here in Kentucky. So I'm going to say, we doing pounds?
We're doing ounces.
Pounds and ounces. I'm going to say for all of it combined, 1 pound and 6 ounces.
1 pound and 6 ounces.
I'm going to say 1 pound.
1 pound. All right. I'm going to put the gloves on here first.
Is this closest without going over?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you go over or not. We don't care about going over. 8.9 ounces for the gloves. And now to put the liners on top, 13.1 ounces. Justin is the first person to score in this game. So let's give a point to Justin to start this whole thing off. Jeremiah, I don't think you stand a chance, buddy. I'm just going to be honest with you.
I'm getting cheated first.
Currently, Justin 1, Jeremiah 0.
It's not even in grams.
That was beginner's luck.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Justin.
So now you're dogging on our person who's on our show right now, saying they can't guess weights correctly. Come on, man.
No, that's self-proclaimed beginner's luck.
Okay. All right. So the next item. Now, people who backpack in nice weather, I mean anything over the temperature of 40, they may wear gaiters, but they're like the dirty girl gaiters, you know, the ones that are real small that fit over your shoes. But if you're hiking in deep snow, and I mean deep snow, you're going to need some of these bad boys right here. These are the Crocodile Gators from Outdoor Research that made these. So these are some hardcore gators. How much do you guys think these things weigh?
Justin, you got to go first this time.
I'm going to say 8 ounces each.
8 ounces each.
So 16 total.
Yeah.
Okay, 16 total.
That might be a little high, but I'll stick with it.
I'm going to go 15.9.
Okay.
Welcome to The Price is Right.
Okay, so here we go, boys. Let's see what this weighs. Are we seeing it? 7.9 ounces combined.
Cha-ching.
Combined. 7.9 ounces combined. So, unfortunately,
that was way off.
I gotta give Jeremiah a point here. So
that's some
Jeremiah,
ultralight winner.
You are now on the board. So the tiebreaker. This is the final one right here.
What is this?
Salomon Gtx Boots. Because you can't wear trail runners in really deep snow and not hate your life. And so there's 2 of these boots. We're going to weigh them both. Actually, I take it back. I'm just going to weigh one and then we'll double it. So I'm not going to weigh them both because that's just dumb. So, okay, so we're going to weigh one of these boots. What do both boots combined weigh? And Jeremiah, you have to go first this time.
I'm going to say 1 pound and 4 ounces combined.
Okay.
2.5.
2.5 pounds?
Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
It's on. The weight of one boot is 1 pound, 8.5 ounces, over 3 pounds for both. Jeremiah, you are no longer undefeated in this game. We can honestly say that our winner of this game is Justin. So, Justin, congratulations on
what
winning.
did I win?
You get to brag every time you're around Jeremiah.
I just took down the smartest man in Kentucky.
You just took him down. So Justin wins. That's all we got to say about that. So now that we got things going, let's go ahead and bring up the ticker for the rest of the show. It gives all the news that means nothing because it's completely fake. So,
hey, I want to ask Justin a question since we mentioned shoes there, and we have all this snow gear. So, did you see Hunter's idea for snow, shoe-wise?
Hunter's idea? No, I did not. He
is thinking about waterproof socks with sandals, and then for snow, like if you need snowshoes or crampons, you just put those around the sandals. I'm curious. I've literally never backpacked in the snow more than like, I don't know, a few inches of snow. Dude, I know Hunter said he was joining on here. I'm curious what you think about that.
I think it's insane, but each to their own. You know, I mean, it might work for him. I don't know.
Jeremiah, I'm prepared. I want you to see this too, because this game is racist against Canadians, is what what Justin Outdoors just told us. Oh man.
I'm sure it can be done.
Yeah, it might be done, but
that is not a very confident face right there.
I wouldn't do it, but hey, a lot of people do a lot of cool things, and maybe that's one of them.
Hey, maybe.
I was just curious.
Now, Justin, you are definitely a winter guy. Actually, I got to watch a little bit of your live stream with the Shill brothers last week.
That was fun.
And you said you prefer to backpack in the bitter cold.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. I think it's fitting that the very thing that made you popular on YouTube was this thumbnail right here on the left.
It is.
You did a video about a hot stove tent or a hot tent, and it's you getting out of a snow-covered tent, and it's an unbelievable shot. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that you were actually out in this stuff, and it's almost got 1 million views at this point.
Almost.
That's crazy,
Isn't
man.
that nuts?
That's crazy. What did you do when that thing blew up?
My mind blew up. I was like, what? I was like, how is this even happening? It was crazy. Everything happened all at once.
Yeah, I remember chatting with you. I guess it was maybe a few months after we had both really been YouTubers. Like, we hadn't known, we just kind of met online, and you were telling me some stories about your past and all this kind of stuff. And it was maybe a month later that video came out. And I remember my eyes just got huge. Like, man, this dude just hit it. There it is right there.
Yeah. I mean, the numbers went nuts. When I first dropped that video, I had just shy of 500 subscribers. And within a month, it was up to 4,000.
That is
boom,
awesome.
Just like that. And then the numbers went through the roof. But I mean, that was the one video for me. You know, it's like that is what generated all the numbers of my channel pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, my channel has like 1.5 million views, a little over, and
that's
1 million of them are from that one video, right? So it's pretty mind-blowing. It really is.
That is crazy, man. That is crazy.
And I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything different. I just did what I do, and it went nuts. I've made it pretty clear in like YouTube groups and chit chats and stuff that I don't really hunt the algorithm. I don't follow the algorithm. I don't pay attention to that at all. So it wasn't that game at all. It was a guy that had no idea what he was doing and put out a video, and it went nuts for some reason.
That's incredible.
I didn't even record it in very good quality. You know, it was one of my last films on my junk camera because I was just basically starting, and I don't know. It just hit right and something happened. It was
that
wild.
is so cool.
Like you said, it was the thumbnail, man.
It really was, man. Like, I remember seeing that, and there's a YouTubing backpackers group, and somebody actually made a comment about you having the coolest thumbnail they'd ever seen in their life, and they posted that picture of it on the chat, and I thought that was the greatest thing.
That's really cool.
So we've got a few little comments going on over here. One of them from Greg Morton saying frostbite is a personal decision. Inkblot's Life says Gtx Boots equals socks with sandals. So there you go, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
You got to have that one in there.
You know, people.
Oh, go ahead.
People were commenting. My wife posted a picture today on Facebook because she received a Christmas tree, and people were commenting.
They were commenting it was a Gtx something.
Yes.
Oh, Jeremiah, you're going to be with that for the rest of your life, I think.
I know.
So Miyagi on the Trail said sandals and watermelon shorts in 4 feet of snow.
Milosh.
I'm telling Justin, you and Miyagi need to go on a backpacking trip together.
I mean, if that dude does what just happened, like, yeah.
No, he does.
He's hardcore.
That's not a joke. That really happens. He's
That's
out of his mind. He does something every year he calls the Death March.
Ooh.
And he gets up in the coldest day in Wisconsin and goes backpacking.
On purpose?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's out of his mind. It's
great.
crazy. It's crazy. Justin, see, we got a few. Well, go ahead.
I was just wondering, Justin, what are the harshest conditions that you've backpacked in winter wise? Because I know you kind of love the winter.
Yeah. On Mount Washington, I camped on Mount Washington once in some pretty intense conditions. I actively sought them out. It was very cold and very, very windy, and I wanted to camp above the tree line on Mount Washington. And that kicked my butt. It was crazy. It pretty much destroyed my tent. I didn't get any sleep, and it was wild. It was a really crazy experience. But that was just me by myself. At one point, I was helping guide Randy Pierce up all the mountains in the White Mountains. And when we did Mount Washington, we did the Northern Presidentials on one day. And when we got to Mount Washington, it was about 27 below zero.
Oh my gosh.
And, when you're up on Mount Washington and it's that cold, and then you have the added weight of being responsible for this person, it's pretty intense.
That's terrifying.
It can get pretty intense.
Yeah.
In your mind, it's a mental game for sure. But,
so when you do that kind of hiking and stuff, like what is the number one piece of advice you give people that are thinking about getting out in that kind of weather?
Baby steps. You don't just seek it out and do it because you read about it and you get all pumped up about it. Baby steps. Go camp out in your backyard in 0 degrees and see how well you fare with that. And from there, go out in the woods a couple of miles and maybe the same conditions and see how you do with that. And push it and learn, get your system figured out before you actually put yourself up there.
Oh yeah.
That would be
definitely
my advice. I mean,
you said that you were guiding Randy Pierce, and for those that don't know, can you tell us a little bit about that? Who is Randy Pierce, and when you say guiding, what do you mean by that?
Randy is he's a really good friend of mine now, but when we met, he was a blind man that was attempting to hike all 48 of New Hampshire's 4,000 footers in one winter season. It's called the single season winter 48. And not too many people in the world had done it at that point, and still to this day. And so just hiking in the mountains, trying to get those peaks, winter peak bagging basically. And when I say guiding, I just really want to make it clear that I am not a certified guide, right? Not by any means. I had met some people that knew him a couple of years before because I had done the single season winter 8 in 2008 and made some winter friends, and we hooked up, and they introduced me to Randy, and Randy and I got along really well from the get-go, and we just formed this really tight relationship, and we ended up sticking out the rest of the winter together, doing all these mountains, trying to get this adventure locked down. So we basically just hiked together all winter long, and it was nuts. So like, he had a guide dog, but in certain situations in these mountains, it's not exactly the most effective or safe method of traveling. So we devised out a system where he could put his hand on my shoulder and he would follow me and he could follow my body movements. This guy's a black belt in Kempo.
Wow.
He's very, very intuitive. So he could feel the changes in my body and he would just follow that. And as time went on, we progressed that to a ski pole. I would hold one end of a ski pole and that could put a little bit more distance between us so that he wasn't tripping on me and whatnot. And he would just follow what the ski pole was doing. And I'd have to let him be aware of, trees or ditches and river crossings or anything technical, cliffs, tell him where to put his hands and feet and stuff. And it's just pretty wild. And being there for general safety,
Now, you didn't just guide him, though. That was actually part of a bigger project, wasn't it? Wasn't there like some kind of a movie that you were doing as a part of this?
Yeah, so I wasn't doing the movie. Randy had worked it out with this woman, Dina Sutton, that she could record his experience throughout the journey and turn it into a documentary. And then take that documentary and sell it to bring awareness to people with disabilities, people in need. And that's what happened. I met him. We were hiking all these mountains. She was recording all this footage on her own time, on her own dime, editing it all. She did everything, produced it, edited, shot it, like the whole 9 yards, did all of it. And then turned it into a DVD, basically. And she gave it to 2020visionquest.org, and they sold it to raise money for the charity.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, I also heard another rumor about this whole trip. I heard you started crushing on this lady. Is this true?
I did, man. I moved right in.
Yeah?
Yeah, love at first sight. It was crazy. We met, was it January 6th of that season, 2011, and hiked all winter long. And yeah, we ended up getting married. She's my wife now.
That's awesome.
We have a kid. Like that winter straight up changed my life. That overall experience, all of it, it was a turning point in my life and everything changed for me. Everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
it really
amazing.
is pretty crazy.
You're already inspiring people within our group right now. Just so you know, there are people like saying things like, here's one. Love the idea of hiking on the coldest day of the year. Totally doing that this year. Bryce Newbold is saying Polar Vortex Challenge next big YouTuber tag. Miyagi's saying let's run with it. I'm
down.
And then we got this one. Jeremiah doesn't feel 27 below reaching in his freezer for ice cream.
The cold's hard on me, man. Last night was so cold in Kentucky. It was like 25 degrees.
Yeah.
And I was like, we got to turn the heat up in the house, put a heater by the bed, warm my puppy to work.
25 is legit. I mean, that's cold. I mean, that's worthy of turning your heat on.
There you go. That's Justin just being really nice right now. He's saying that to be nice, but inside he's going, pansies.
So did you all get into any like hairy situations or scary stuff or anything like that whenever you were guiding and she was shooting?
The scariest part for me throughout the whole thing, looking back on it, was the mental weight load of what happens if something goes wrong. Like, then what? Especially if it was me. I mean, we made it a point to pretty much not hike by ourselves just in case something did go wrong. But there were quite a few hikes where it was just me, him, and Dina filming. And on a lot of the bigger hikes too. That's the way it worked out, because a lot of people just didn't want to do that mileage or couldn't commit all the time, or for whatever reason it was. So like when we did those Northern Presidentials, that was just Randy, Dina, and I with a dog. So the mental weight load of something going wrong is crushing. Yeah, I mean the guy can't see. He cannot see like at all. What if something happens? Nothing really technical ever happened that was scary. I did slip and take a fall at one point, but I mean it was like I slid down like 20 feet of a slope. You know, no big deal. It sounds and looks a lot worse than it was. But
I'd say it'd be terrifying for anybody else, but you're like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, there's a scene in the movie where, like, I was holding a camera and the camera takes a tumble and it looks pretty frightening. Yeah, but you know, the things you got to do to make a good video, right?
Right. Absolutely. Hey, there's some more comments on here. I want to make sure you see these. That hits home for me. Hiking with disabilities is literally my entire journey. Justin is clearly a class act for sure. Good dude. And that's pretty awesome, man. So, I mean, there's just everybody's just, your story is really hitting it with everybody, man, because it's so cool that you took first of all, you were willing to do something a lot of people be terrified to do. And I'm not talking about climbing the mountains, but I'm talking about taking a blind man and basically saying, I will make sure you survive through this, and
Yep.
taking him up into the mountains. That is
Yep.
so impressive.
That's pretty much what happened. I mean, I met him on hike 1, you know, and then for me with him, he had already done about 2 or 3 hikes, I think, maybe 4 of the journey. And I met him, and then the next day I was hiking with him, and we just really communicated. I really, really could relate to his story. And I had done all those mountains just 2 years before, so it was still really fresh in my mind, and I knew that I could help this guy. And I got really inspired by the whole process, like just overwhelmingly inspired by what was going on. So I literally took, like, I stopped working. I took leave of absence from work. It's like, I'm stopping. I'm not going to work. I'm going to help this guy do this thing. My landlord at the time, they let me slide on rent until the whole thing was over. You know, they caught wind of the situation and heard what was happening, and they were completely supportive of it. So I didn't have to worry about rent. And yeah, it just happened. I got fully just immersed in this situation and was completely all into it. And meeting Randy was part of that. Like, he's the most incredible human being that I've ever met in my life, ever. He's so inspirational. All he wants to do is help people, bring awareness to people, help kids, bring awareness to disabilities, and get the word out there and try and make better lives for these people. And he doesn't have a stitch of selfishness in him. I mean, he's always positive. You know, a lot of times when I get real pissy and angry, and I can get, you know, pretty gnarly and cranky sometimes, and I honest to God say to myself, you know, what would Randy do right now? Like, if Randy saw me say what I was just about to say, like, would I be proud of myself? You know, I mean, the guy is very inspiring, and he changes people. And I've heard his story affect so many people. It's unbelievable. And when this documentary was done, it was playing in all kinds of movie theaters on the East Coast, all over the place. So we were doing this kind of tour, going around watching this documentary at movie theaters, and then doing questions and answering and all that stuff, you know, Q&A afterwards, and just hearing and seeing all these people reacting to his story is just, it's moving. It's amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
All Things Outdoors, just best documentary I watched this year. Justin equals man among boys.
Thank you, Jeremy. It's quite the documentary. It really is, all things considered. You know.
Yeah, and you got to hike with Jeremy, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I've got to go into the Adirondacks with him. We did a great group hike in the Adirondacks. Jeremy and Goat, David Gray, Jason Wish.
Well, you didn't really hike with. Nobody hikes with Jason Wish. Jason Wish just kind of leaves, and then he gets where you're going and waits for you.
Yeah. He's got that mentality of go.
He's actually Wednesday? He's going to do another FKT.
Yeah,
doing an 80-mile FKT.
He crushes that thing.
I do too, man.
Yeah.
He loves that stuff.
I can't wait to hear about it. And it takes a special person to be able to. You know, mileage isn't all that big of a deal, but to have the ambition to just crush mileage and then go to sleep and then wake up super early and pack up just like that and crush miles. It's like,
you gotta be a certain kind of crazy, I think, to do that kind of stuff.
So
you know,
I really respect it.
But he loves it. Yeah,
I've lost that drive in my old age.
Well, I think who else did you? Oh, I know who you went backpacking with. You went backpacking with Mr. Backpacking with Jason Sir not too long ago.
What's up with the Sir thing? I've caught on that in comments. I was like, Jason, what's up with this?
It's a respect thing. He is not just backpacking with Jason. He is Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir.
The hiker royalty.
Yeah, he's basically Jeremiah's dad.
Yeah, you know what else he is?
Awesome.
He is awesome. Yeah,
he is
Fun.
awesome. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get him a T-shirt for Christmas, I think, and it's gonna say "Backpacking with Jason," and then I'm gonna mark out Jason and write "Dad." I always call him "Backpacking with Dad" because he's always taking care of us. He's always making sure that we get back to the vehicle. We got something cold to drink. You know, if we go out to eat or something, a lot of times he'll cover it. It's just like it's like a trail dad.
He's a solid dude.
He's awesome
For sure.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he said that was one
you
of
guys right. I see your hikes and stuff, and that dude hauling out steaks and all kinds of good stuff.
Oh yeah. He also lets you borrow his gear when you need to. I think Jeremiah borrowed a tent of his when he went to the long trail, and I borrowed one of his underquilts when I went up to Wisconsin last winter to do some backpacking.
Nice.
And the first night I needed it, but the second night it was like 45 or something.
Sweet.
It was really weird, but Jason's just one of those giving people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
But he told me that trip was the most exhilarating and terrifying at times hike that he's done. He said you took him on one of the top like 10 scariest hikes or something. I can't remember how he put it.
The terrifying 25.
Terrifying 25.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a list of the 25 most aggressive hikes in New Hampshire.
Wow.
And most of them are, for a reason on that list. And that was one of them, the Six Husbands Trail. It's pretty gnarly.
You said Jeremy, All Things Outdoors, and David Gray were both on that trip, right?
They were.
Yeah.
Not the one with backpacking with Jason, but the earlier in the year in the Adirondacks.
So that Adirondacks trip, shortly after that, Jeremy was backpacking with Jason and I in Red River Gorge, just a quick 1 or 2 nighter, and he was telling me how crazy it was and the slopes. He said that he would have to get down like, almost on all fours and crouch down and be super careful. He said David Gray had like a 60-pound backpack on, and he was just scooting right along like nobody's business.
Dude's a trooper.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's steep. And some of the terrain out here is really, really steep stuff. And he's right. Some of it's scrambly. We call them rock scrambles, where you're literally sometimes on your all fours working your way up these slabs. It's pretty awesome. It's good stuff. And yeah, David, he had this huge backpack. It's cool. We're going on this multi-day trip and super aggressive Adirondacks and just steep rock slabs. And he's a big dude, and he's got this big, huge backpack on and never once complained, just trucked right through it.
That's awesome.
He's fun. He's a really fun dude to hang out with. He's got some good stories and he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, from what I've seen, he's like one of the most intelligent people on the planet.
You can tell he's smart. Like he's just got all this information stored in his head. He's not reading it off of something. It's all there. We were talking about it on the Show Brothers. That guy, when we were up in the Adirondacks, he just knew everything about the Olympics that had happened there. Everything, names, times, where things happened. He knew it all.
Yeah, and he's a former college football player, isn't he?
Former athlete in some way or shape or form.
Yeah,
I don't remember this story.
I think he was a kicker.
He was a kicker.
He was a college kicker, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think at a D1 school.
He got all the blame and none of the glory.
Yeah, right.
That's usually how that works with kickers, right?
Yeah.
It's just not fair. It's just not fair. Somebody just said about the Six Husbands. Chris Oconee said he saw a sign for Six Husbands when he did the Traverse. It looked like it went down into the depths of hell.
He also asked earlier, Chris Coney did, I don't know if you saw in the comments, but about the documentary, he was asking if you could still see that somewhere online or what it was called and how to find it.
Yeah, it's called 4 More Feet. Actually, this is what it looks like.
Oh,
4 More Feet. And
nice.
you can, it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. I think it's like a $2 or $3 rental, and it's there. Ben Mcmillan from Hilltop Packs, he was saying that he had a hard time finding it on his TV, but his phone found it. So maybe there's an issue or something there. That's something I've got to look into, actually. But now that we're talking about it, just so all you folks out there know, if you can't find it on your TV, maybe your phone will actually locate it. But 4 more feet, yeah.
4 more feet, very cool.
Thank you. See if we can put it in the show description on the podcast. So if we can find a link, then we'll throw it in there too if people are listening.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Definitely. And another thing I want to talk to you about, you got married to this amazing woman that you met doing the documentary, and you've had kids since then.
Yep. 1.
And recently you decided, I guess in the last 6 or 8 months, you decided to build, originally I think it was going to be an A-frame, but now it's going to be a lean-to.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell a little bit about that?
You want to hear a little bit about it?
Yeah, dude. Tell us about this thing. Yeah. Tell us about this thing.
So a year or so ago, it's actually been a year since I've started this project. It's just the project that got drawn out. But what I wanted to do was build just like a bushcraft A-frame, a big bushcraft A-frame. And I started getting carried away, and one thing grew into another. And I quickly realized that if it's going to be that big, that bushcraft isn't really the answer, because bushcraft shelters always fall down. And this thing is like 16 feet wide, 12 feet long, and big, huge. I didn't want it falling down and killing me and my daughter. And that's one of the reasons that I was building it, was so that I could have a reliable place to go out in the woods on our property and teach my daughter about the woods. Like at a moment's notice, hey, let's go out to the A-frame. We can hang out, eat hot dogs, build a fire, whatever, stay overnight, and just teach her the ways of the woods, base camp for hunting, like whatever. And so I started using hammers and nails and building this big A-frame. And then I decided very recently that I didn't want it to be all closed in like the A-frame was. I wanted to be able to see and more kind of camp instead of being in a structure. I like camping. So yeah, I opened it up to be a lean-to, and I'm much more happy with the way that looks and is coming along. The thing's a monster, man.
Yeah, it is.
It was big in my mind, but it was much smaller in my mind when I was designing this in my little pea brain. I really didn't think it was going to turn out to be that big of a project, but it is, and it's awesome. I can't wait until it's done.
Now, I've been watching you build this thing, and you're not even like you're kind of doing some primitive bushcrafting like techniques on building it, because you're not using, you're using a chainsaw for part of it, but when you're notching it out, you're just using basically a hatchet and a chainsaw just to cut some slats. Like, where did you get the inspiration to do all this? Because it's just kind of random. Hey, I think I'm gonna build a lean-to. What was it that kind of led you to want to do this?
I've been doing stuff kind of like this my whole life. I'm still a boy in the woods, building forts, playing with knives, having a good time. When I was a little kid, I went into the woods for my safe spot. That's to get away. I didn't have the greatest childhood, so I went into the woods, and that's what I immersed myself in for a long, long time. Bushcrafting before it was cool, before it was a term coined, bushcraft. And seriously, just a kid out in the woods with a knife and a hatchet building forts. That's what I did. And that never left. I've just always really enjoyed camping, and that continued. And my friends, we'd go out in the woods for a weekend or so, and we'd build a little primitive camp in the woods and hang out and party all weekend long and tear it all down and burn it and leave, And now that I have my own place in the woods, I thought I kind of want to do this.
That's awesome.
Build a neat little lean-to.
And by little, you mean something that's like 15 feet tall and
massive, like 16 feet long. Yeah. But there will be more bushcraft projects. Like, I'm definitely going to build some bushcraft stuff on the land, because there's enough of it, and it's fun. It's just fun, and to teach my daughter and hand all that stuff down, and hopefully she gets into it. It's nothing I'm going to force onto her, but it's what I do. So, so far it's working. She's into it.
Yeah, you've got some fans on here, dude.
She has a really good time when we go out there and work on that thing. It's fun.
You've got some fans on here. Following Walker's World is saying the lean-to looks awesome. Love the video with you cooking hot dogs with your daughter.
Yeah.
The A-frame is looking awesome. We got Craig Dwello, which I actually talked to earlier today. Justin, total bushcrafter.
Oh, Craig. Yeah.
And then Greg Morton is saying, make the memories now before you know it. Dad will no longer be the cool guy, and her friends will take priority for a few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then my favorite of all the comments, is Bryce Newbold. Justin's bushcraft skills make me look like a Cub Scout. I want to pivot a little bit because your most recent video, you did a lot more on it in this one video than probably the other ones combined from what I saw. Like you just got a lot done on it in this last video.
Yeah.
But there was something going on during the video that added to it that I thought we got to talk about this. And it started out with this Dutch oven.
Yeah.
And then a big thing of bacon.
Mm.
And then a big thing of sausage. And in the video, you said it came from, you butchered this pig or had it butchered. So it was your own pig.
I did it.
Yep. And so it was bacon that you'd apparently cured, sausage that you had made.
Yep.
You threw it in the Dutch oven. You cut up an onion. You cut up some peppers. And then you put the lid on and walked away for a while. Then you come back a little bit later. You throw in some tomatoes. You throw in some chili powder, some cumin. And we realize the beans are going in. And now it's chili. And you made this chili that basically cooked all day while you were building this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How good was that stuff, man?
Real good.
It looked really spicy.
Oh, man.
It wasn't that spicy. I mean, I put in quite a bit of cayenne pepper, but cayenne pepper's not that bad. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that wasn't spicy sausage. I saved the spicy sausage for when I'm just eating sausage, basically. You know, I knew I could make the chili spicier with the hot pepper. So it wasn't that bad. I also knew that it was going to make a lot more than my cousin and I were going to eat at that one particular outing. So I'm taking the rest home, and you know, my family won't eat it if it's going to melt their face off. And you know, my wife always tells me that I pee on everything when I put the heat on it because nobody else wants it. So I try
I'm
not
the
to
same
make
way,
things
man.
too spicy. You know, but
I'm just like you. I have a 2 and a 3-year-old, and my wife doesn't do spicy, so I have to do the same thing. I have to pull it back.
The struggle's real, man.
The
struggle's real. And I'll make stuff spicy subconsciously. I don't even know it, right?
Yep.
And my daughter tries some, and she's, sorry, kid. Did it again.
My wife and I were watching that video together, and your daughter, Precious, by the way, love her.
Thank you.
Making me laugh and celebrating you all playing together and flipping water bottles and stuff.
Yeah.
And
that's the stuff, man.
Yes, like we said earlier, making memories now.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife was curious about the trees. Did you cut all those trees from your land? I saw you stripping the bark and stuff off. I was also curious of why you stripped the bark off and what that does.
The trees are from our land.
Mm-hmm.
All the resources are basically coming from our land. I stripped the logs because if you leave the bark on them, they'll rot. It holds moisture. The insects will hide, start digging and eating at it. And the bark off gives for a much better presentation, you know, especially inside when the fire is flickering on the nice skinned logs and stuff. But basically, it's for preservation. You know, you peel that skin off those logs, or they're gonna rot and collect bugs and hold moisture, and it can be pretty nasty. After a year or so, the bark would kind of start to come off on its own. But those are pretty good sized trees, and the bark alone, you know, you figure from 2 trees, by the time all that rots and goes away, there's gonna be big, huge gaps in between those logs, and we don't want that either. So it's just best to skin them. The weatherproofing and all that stuff, it'll just last a lot longer.
Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Good, man. Go ahead.
I watched a lot of these like survival shows, and they do, you know, lean-tos and bushcraft stuff that are very temporary. Like I need to get through the night or whatever.
Yep.
And I always wonder, and looking at yours, I wonder the same thing. If I were to build one of those, like I got to choose a direction that the opening's going to be on. I know you said you wanted to be able to look out and see and have an open side. So weather-wise, what do you or the other people that build this kind of stuff do whenever it gets a little crazy and it may be raining sideways, or maybe it's a really bad winter storm and you're out there in it and you're not just like on your property and can walk back home? So what's the deal with the wide openness, and what do you do if there is some extreme weather?
It's a good question. Excuse me.
That's why he's on the show. He has all the good questions. So
it's that brain at work.
Yeah, he's the smartest guy in Kentucky.
About 50, 60 feet in front of the opening is my old bushcraft shelter that I have there, where I've been going since before I started building the lean-to. And in that shelter, I have a wood stove, a legit wood stove. I dragged a wood stove out there a couple of years ago in a sled in the winter.
How far is that?
It's a little over a half a mile walk into the woods.
Man.
So, which is pretty cool, you know. You can get there pretty quick, and you walk there in 10 minutes. So, yeah. But with the weather blowing in and stuff, what I'm going to do is there's going to be an overhang on it. In that last video, you can kind of see that taking shape where the overhang is going to be. And then I'm going to run posts at the end, and I'm going to be able to hang a tarp if it gets gnarly.
Smart.
I'm going to buy a big, heavy-duty, gnarly canvas tarp, and I'm going to leave it out there. And when it gets really cold, or when the weather's really, really nasty, if it's too much, because you're right, in the right situations, it could just blow right in and be miserable. So I'll just drop that curtain and fire up the wood stove. That's my plan anyway. I mean,
that's awesome.
In my mind, it all works out. I've got it kind of designed so that it will work out, but you know, things present themselves sometimes that we can't see ahead of time. So we'll see. That's the plan anyway. So when I drop the curtain, I should have 2 doors on each side. And I'll I'll have a tarp for those as well. And it'll be like a little canvas hot tent / cabin thing in the woods with a wood stove. Just a cool spot to hang out, you know.
Seems like everything comes back to the hot tent, because that's kind of what made you YouTube famous was the hot tent.
Am I really like
when you can say when you say almost have 1 million views on a video? That's pretty YouTube famous to me. I mean, I know you don't act like a famous person. Like you don't do that, but I mean, that's a lot of views for one video. And that's
like
pretty
a one-hit
incredible.
wonder thing, right? That's like not necessarily famous.
No.
Come on now. I'm just saying, man. Anyways, basically what I'm trying to get is like the hot tent thing. Let's talk about hot tents for a second, because I would kill to backpack. And we've talked online, actually. You and I have talked about this. I want to backpack and then sleep in a hot tent.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to do this. How much does this thing weigh? I mean, because as a backpacker, how much stuff weighs matters. How much does this thing weigh? I mean, when you're carrying that out into horrible weather, I'm assuming you're not doing long miles. You're probably hiking in shorter, maybe making a base camp and hiking out from there. But how much does this thing weigh?
It depends on which tent, really. At this point now, I have 4 hot tents. You know, 2 of them I made and 2 of them I've purchased. The one that I would adventure with is the one that has the big video count, right? That Luxe Mini Peak XL. It's like 9 feet by 9 feet, 9 feet by 8.5, you know, and 5 feet 2 inches tall. So it's a pretty decent size, and it weighs 2.9 pounds. Just the outer, which is not terribly heavy, but it's not exactly a lightweight hot tent either. Yeah, I mean, there's some really lightweight hot tents out there that weigh a pound, and you know, nothing basically.
That blows my mind too, because you're bringing a stove, literally a stove, out into the woods.
Yeah, and the concept of the super light tent to me with a wood stove doesn't really bode well.
Yeah,
but I can see why people would do it. And given, the style of camping that maybe they're doing, light and fast, maybe it works. But for me, like you were saying, a hot tent is more of a base camp thing. So I want it to be a little bit more rugged. I also want the material to be a little bit thicker to help hold in a little bit more heat for whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
It might not be much, but I know a canvas tent holds heat better than a super thin sil nylon one will. So yeah, most of it's base camp, but I do haul it in for miles. I'll put that thing on a sled or a polk, and I've got a video where I put it all my gear into a sled, and I skied it in for a couple miles, and then got to where the trailhead was and took the skis off and put the snowshoes on, and then hiked into the woods a bit more, and then set up my stuff and base camp from there. So you can cover some miles, but that particular trip wasn't designed to cover miles.
Right.
That's a really, really good question, because when I do want to cover miles in the mountains in the winter, I don't bring a hot tent at all. I just bring a tent that I can throw up with some poles real quick and get in there and be done with it.
Now, what tent are you using when you go out in the cold? Because, you probably are you using a 4-season tent, I'm assuming, or are you just using a typical 3-season tent?
For the most part, I'm using a 3-season tent. I'm using in the wintertime, for the last couple of years, I've been using a Eureka Midori Solo.
I've got that right behind me, actually, right now.
Yeah, mine's right over there, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an awesome tent, man. They're rugged. They're built out of strong materials. It's not exactly lightweight. It's like 4.5 pounds or something of the sort. But again, in the wintertime, if you're really backpacking out in the wilderness of like New Hampshire or whatnot, it can get gnarly, and you don't really want a thin tent.
Yeah.
You just don't. It could get destroyed really fast.
I have two things I'm curious about with this whole hot tent situation. One, in that 2 pounds ish range, is the stove included in the weight? And two, I've heard some people complain that they have to get up or at least wake up and put more wood in their stove. So have you experienced that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the really big, I think, misconceptions out on YouTube right now with these stoves and hot tenting. It's especially these backpacking stoves. There's a whole bunch of like Nico stoves and all kinds of stainless steel stoves that weigh 20 pounds and they'll hold heat all night long. Absolutely. But with these backpacking lightweight titanium stoves, I mean, this is it right here. In this package that weighs less than 4 pounds, I have a stove and a stovepipe and a damper and everything, all of it right here.
Oh my gosh.
Bag and all weighs less than 4 pounds. It's really light and very backpackable, very packable.
Wow.
Stove breaks down super flat, and you have to put it together and all that stuff. But they're awesome. They're really awesome, but they're not efficient. And I don't think enough people talk about that on YouTube. I mean, you stoke one of these things up, and it throws a massive amount of heat, and then 2 hours later, it's dead, like dead. You can probably extend that a little bit with, big rounds of hardwood or whatnot. But these stoves are only about 12 inches deep. Mine is 8 by 8 by 12. You can't fit very much wood in these things. They do throw insane amounts of heat, and I can have my tent upwards of 70 degrees on a 0-degree day. I've done it a bunch of times. But you've got to keep feeding that stove. You have to keep feeding it. They're not airtight. They just chew through fuel quick. And it's titanium, I mean, I'm not like the smartest guy in New Hampshire, so I can't really, but titanium really dissipates heat well. It soaks it up fast, holds it, and then it just gets rid of it. So, I mean, that's another cool thing about these stoves is once it's dead, it's dead. It's 10 minutes, you can touch it. It's crazy. Like you can pack them down and go. But yes, you have to wake up. If you're going to wake up to feed it, you got to wake up and feed it. Which is why a really, really, really good rule of thumb for me personally, I believe, is to have a rated sleep system for the conditions you're going to go out in. Like a hot tent and a stove is not a substitute for proper gear. It's not. It's actually quite dangerous for people to be thinking that way, because if something happens, if a tree falls down and pushes your tent into your hot stove, and then poof, your stove, it's useless. Like, who knows what's going to happen? You really don't know. And if you don't have that sleep system for a backup, then you could be in a lot of trouble. And I personally don't want to go to sleep and not wake up. Like CO, carbon monoxide poisoning, is an issue, although it's kind of a touchy one because I've never really heard of a case of somebody getting it from a wood stove. It's always a gas stove or charcoal or something of the sort. But that ventilation is nice and all that fresh air. So I typically pack up my stove, let it burn out, and then I go to sleep. You know, I'm in my sleeping bag and all my whatnot, and I just go to sleep and I wake up and I start doing whatever from there. But I myself personally do not let my stove run at night while I'm sleeping. Now, that's probably me just being overly cautious because I know that a ton of people do. And there's a whole bunch of people out there that are just crazy about how, you know, you can do it this way. You're doing it all wrong, you know, like whatever. There's a million ways to do it. I just personally prefer to let my stove go out before I go to sleep.
That makes sense.
I know I'm going to wake up.
Yeah, well, I got to let you know we've missed a few comments that need to go your way here real quick. Ben Mcmillan is claiming all million views on your video. He says that he is your biggest fan. So Ben Mcmillan, the guy whose backpack you bought that we actually saw,
I know that
in Kentucky.
Yep.
A few weeks before you got it, which is an interesting story. But he said that. Then All Things Outdoors is saying, I think the shelter should be the guest room for when YouTubing buddies come up to visit.
I want to do that.
I think you should. And
Putting that out there. Yeah.
We'd totally come up.
Okay.
Well, I would. Jeremiah doesn't like the cold, so he might not come up, but I'll come up
in the summertime.
In the summertime.
I'm just kidding, man.
Hunter's Trip says hot hammock is greater than a hot tent. Justin, you should make one.
I just can't really get myself to get into the hammocks. I've tried it, and I almost did. I almost really got into it, almost bought a setup. And then on this recent canoe trip, my buddy that I was with, I watched him curse his out over and over and over because it just sucks to set up and take down every single day. So I think I'm just going to stick with my tents. I like my tents. I'm a ground dweller. I always have been. I do have an ENO hammock or Eno or whatever it is. But,
yeah, that's not a good hammock.
It's exactly. I'm not going to talk crap about it, but those of you that know, you know.
And, yeah.
I'm just not going to invest in a hammock. It's not my thing. I can tell.
Well, Gretchen Lopez says that you're serving some realness out here. And Justin Outdoors says UL hot tents are nice for socializing, and also says you nailed it. Can't rely on the stove.
Yes. Yes.
I think people from New Hampshire and people from Canada understand cold weather more than most.
Well, we're in it. I can't really say more than most because, I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that know a lot more about it than I do, but I also know that I know enough about it to like it and get by in it. Those Canadians, man, they do some hardcore stuff. They've got the environment for it. It's very inspiring.
I see Matty Outdoors. I think I saw him make his own stove. To take backpacking. He's bending the metal, and I was like, wow. He's talking about burning off different coatings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it didn't like poison him in the middle of the night.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. I just did. I built my own stove about 3-4 years ago. And I mean, it's a big heavy duty one. I don't use it for backpacking because I made it out of galvanized stovepipe and it's really big and heavy, but and that works. And he's right. You know, you burn it all off and make sure those gases and stuff. But yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of crafty people out there doing a lot of really, really cool stuff for sure. That's one of the magical things about YouTube. There's a lot of smart, crafty people doing.
Yeah, we got the smartest guy in Kentucky on this thing right now.
Point in case.
I mean, there it is.
I'm talking to him. It's amazing.
All propaganda.
Well, man, we've had you on here for an hour.
What?
And yeah, it's hard to believe, isn't it? It goes really fast. It goes really fast. But I want to make sure you get some time to plug your channel, plug the documentary, anything else you want to plug. Basically, the floor is yours. Let people know everything they need to know about you.
Well, thank you guys. I'll plug you guys for having me on the show. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And if I could really say anything at all, it would be just go check out that documentary. Please, absolutely. If anyone can take anything away from any of it, check that out because that's inspiring. If you want to be inspired, go check that thing out because it'll do it. It'll move you. I mean, if you're a decent human being, it'll grab you. The story there is amazing. My channel, It's Good in the Woods, YouTube. You know, I think most of you guys probably know that already, but check it out if you want. Don't if you don't. That's cool. Yeah. I don't know what else to say other than thanks, guys. It's been awesome to talk to you. I can't even believe it's been an hour.
I know, man. It always goes fast. It always goes fast. And you've had a ton of comments. So
I hope I've done decent enough explaining it. I'm not the best with words. My brain gets flighty sometimes, and you know, I don't think I make very much sense sometimes. So I hope I did all right, guys.
No, man, you were great. Yeah, awesome. And like I said, there's so many comments. Make sure you take some time and go back and read through some of them, because I couldn't get to every single one.
I absolutely
during
will.
this. But definitely a lot of people had a lot of kind things to say about you and what you're doing.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate that. I really do.
Man. Well, Jeremiah
is wild, right?
Oh, it's crazy.
Isn't it?
It's crazy. Yeah. It's nuts. How many people we've all gotten to know because of this platform?
It's a really incredible platform.
Yeah, it
really is. I know a lot of people talk crap about it, but it's an amazing platform for so many reasons.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jeremiah, you have anything else for Mr. Justin?
It's great to like officially kind of meet you, you know, almost in person. I can't wait to actually come visit you. I would love actually to have you to show me some winter life.
That would be awesome. Is there any possibility that might be happening this March, or are you in it or out of it?
I've been looking at my calendar. I don't have anything planned for March yet, so I'm kind of trying to figure out if I can pull it off. I got to talk to the wife.
I know Jason's planning on coming out here sometime in March with Goat and Jeremy, I believe. So
let's make a big trip out of it.
We'll see. We'll see.
Hopefully I'm not letting any cats out of the bag.
No, I don't know anything that you're talking about. But thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, I hope to get to see you soon, man.
Likewise. And I've got to come out to Kentucky at some point because Jason's come out here. He's going to be doing it twice, so I must reciprocate.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. We'll get you some steaks, and you need to bring stuff to make that chili.
Maybe we can buy it there.
We will. Actually, I have a guy who I just got a half a pig from, and so excellent. I'll bring the sausage, I'll bring the bacon, and we'll pick up all the other stuff. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, we'll make the chili.
Absolutely, man. Well, it was good talking to you. We'll talk to you later, bro.
Likewise, guys. Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you.
Take care.
Okay, that was awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
That was just awesome. Like Bryce Newbold's now, everybody's saying, I'm down for New Hampshire. I'm down for New Hampshire. We're going to have like 27 YouTubers in New Hampshire when all is said and done.
Don't tell Justin.
You know what I mean? It's going to be, it's crazy. We got a lot of stuff coming up on this show. We are getting ready to wind down the last 4 episodes of season 2 of the show. We'll be finishing up on November 30th. And that's going to be a huge one. We're going to have Plug It In Hikes with us that night. He is currently doing a really cool project. I'm trying to remember the name. It's No Trash November.
Yeah.
No Trace November. No Trace November. And he's just challenging everybody. Go into your local parks, your public lands, and clean up the trash and get it out of there. And so we're going to be talking to him at the end of the month. We got Ben Mcmillan coming up the week before that, and he's got a big announcement to make, and we're excited about that one. The week before that, is that official yet?
Yeah, next week that would be it, right? No,
2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks. Yes, we will have Devin Ashby on as of today.
Yeah, so get him to talk a little bit about Waymark and tell us about the adventure he's been doing there.
I'm excited to see how he's doing.
I am too.
A week from today for the live stream, and you'll be getting it soon if you're listening, very, very soon, is Jeff Garmier, who I've talked about before, the author of Free Outside, the single calendar year Triple Crowner.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. It's just it's going to be an awesome end of the season, and we'll be taking the month of December off because we have families and it's Christmas time, and we want to make sure we have that time with them, and then we'll be kicking back off in January with a whole new season, a whole bunch of new guests, and we'll be doing we got some giveaways that we're starting to work on that we're going to be doing during that. And there's just a lot going on, man.
Oh yeah, we're bringing it up a notch. I do want to show one thing before we hop off.
I have no idea what he's about to do right now. No clue.
I saw, well, you've already seen it, but I saw Tom commented earlier. I don't know if Tom's still on here.
This is great.
He was asking in the comments at the beginning. I saw it. He asked if I had received the bidet yet, the pocket bidet. I haven't tried it. Haven't tried it just yet, but I'll get back to you on that review, Tom.
Yes.
Thank you so much, by the way, he sent me some of his favorite backpacking foods, some super cool stickers, and a pocket bidet. So that is awesome.
Yes, he did. And unfortunately, at least as of this point, there will be no Go Next giveaway. I'm sorry. We do talk about Go Next a lot, but I don't think that's happening. But
that's all I got.
That's all we got. So, Jeremiah, it's been a good night.
Yes.
Justin was awesome.
Yes. I'm going to sleep well. That was
I am
awesome
too.
way. Awesome.
And we need to figure out how to get up there. We got to get up to New Hampshire.
Oh, for sure.
That's a given now.
On my way.
I gotta save some money up and get a plane ticket. We need to go. That's all there is to it. Well, for myself and Jeremiah, thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great night, and we'll catch you on the next go round.
Adios, folks.